So no one's releasing albums anymore. Obviously that's hyperbole, but let me explain. I think a really interesting trend to watch as someone who grew up with CDs is how streaming has changed the game logistically. Albums or full-length LPs were typically 40-45 minutes because that's all you could actually physically fit on a vinyl press. Now lift that physical limitation off with streaming and it's kind of like an experiment, right? People are allowed to do whatever they want. So you have people going both ways, both extremes. The goals on either end are seemingly different, but ultimately the same. I've talked about this a bit before, but when people were first thinking like, okay, how do we optimize profit with streaming? And how do we really game it in our favor to kind of get a better shot at getting an RIAA certification, like a gold or silver plaque for a song or album? The first instinct was to up the content, create more songs, get more streams, get more plaques, and ultimately get more money. Hip hop is really the main culprit of this because of how easy it can be, not how easy it inherently is, but how easy it can be to make a track. Perfect example is Drake and all of his recent projects. Really long, but he can still top the charts because he's Drake. And then you have the other extreme, which I kind of attribute to TikTok and this newer, faster internet we're in. Short form content has shortened people's attention spans, and labels know this. Singles and EPs have kind of dominated lately because you can create them quickly and get feedback pretty quickly. As an artist, it's a lot less scary of a concept to put out an EP because if it doesn't do well, you can just be like, well, you know, it was just an EP. I wasn't really taking it too seriously. But if it takes off, well, you know you're doing something right. You know what you can double down on and maybe incorporate into a future project. Same thing with the single. If it goes TikTok viral, well, that's a data point for you. Again, you're not really assuming a ton of risk there. It's just a single. The concept of releasing a 45-minute LP is dying because it's ultimately too risky in terms of revenue and relevance. If you release a forgettable 45-minute LP, well, that's a pretty decent amount of time and resources wasted. And now that's a quote stain on your discography. Although I wouldn't hold an artist to their worst work like that, there are many people these days who surprisingly would. 40 to 45 minutes has now become this weird mark to try and hit. It's long enough where it's kind of difficult to make every single track memorable, and it's short enough because if it underperforms, it can be considered a waste of time because it's not really bringing in enough money. And both outcomes, unfortunately, have been deemed unacceptable. Like for example, when Kanye produced Daytona for Pusha T, that album is 21 minutes long. All the fat was trimmed. On the other end, releasing something that's an hour and 20 minutes is also self-aware in that it's saying, okay, I know I can't make a movie's worth of stuff that's really good, and my audience knows that too. They're just gonna skim through and find their favorites. They already know what's up. If you're a huge artist, this works because they're gonna stream whatever you make anyway. The short project and single allow for a quick rebound and sustaining of relevance, securing the music as an investment, and the longer project just straightforwardly brings in more cash. Ultimately, I guess what I'm getting at here is that once the physical limitation of an album's length was removed, all that was left to guide a project's length was the hand of capitalism. Now, don't get me wrong, I have nothing against an artist trying to earn a living off their music because the industry is super unfair and the artist is frequently the last person paid. But at the same time, it's making it more difficult for me to develop an intimate relationship with an artist I love. If they're releasing singles and EPs constantly, I might just think they're kind of having fun and doing their thing, but not committing to bigger ideas that have the potential to move people. And if they're consistently dropping double LPs or mega LPs, it kind of just looks like they're going out for a cash grab. Both distance me further from them and make it harder to be a ride or die. I know me saying this isn't going to change anything and it's kind of just how it is now, but what do you think? Do I kind of sound like a boomer at 23? I don't know. Either way, check out this video I made on Drake and how this has impacted his career arc and how because of it, it makes him the most frustrating man in music.